Most identification errors happen because certain trees closely resemble one another at a distance. The goal is not really memorization, but recognizing which trees are commonly confused and knowing the one or two traits that reliably separate them. The fastest starting point is always the leaf. The first question to answer is whether the leaf is simple or compound. A compound leaf is made up of multiple leaflets attached to a single stem. This single observation immediately narrows the list of possibilities and is often enough to rule out large groups of trees. Many commonly confused Los Angeles trees have compound leaves. These include ash, pepper tree, ailanthus, jacaranda, mimosa, carrotwood, and Chinese pistache. Once a tree is placed in this group, identification becomes a process of eliminating lookalikes using several defining characteristics: leaflet size, arrangement, edge shape, and overall canopy form. Ash trees typically have opposite leaflets, meaning the leaflets grow in pairs across from each other along the central stem. The overall structure of ash is upright and symmetrical, often forming a strong oval-shaped crown. The bark is gray and deeply furrowed, giving a textured appearance that remains consistent even on older trees. Ailanthus, or tree of heaven, has very large, pinnately compound leaves that can reach up to 2 feet long. Leaflets are lance-shaped, often with 1 or 2 teeth near the base. The canopy is open, spreading, and somewhat messy, and the tree grows quickly in urban areas. Young trees often have smooth bark with vertical lines, while older trees develop rougher bark. Leaf size and rapid growth make this tree easy to distinguish from ash and jacaranda. Pepper trees have smaller leaflets arranged alternately along the central stem. The leaves are bright green, glossy, and the tree produces small, rounded peppercorn-like fruits that hang in clusters. The bark is rough and gray-brown, and the overall form is irregular and open. Jacaranda and mimosa are often confused because they both have finely divided, fern-like foliage. Jacaranda leaves are more delicate and arranged evenly along the stems. The canopy tends to be broad and spreading, forming a graceful, airy appearance. During bloom, jacaranda produces striking purple, trumpet-shaped flowers that hang in clusters. Mimosa leaves are slightly more feathery, and the tree itself appears softer and rounder in outline. Pink powder-puffed flowers emerge along stems and give mimosa a distinctive summer bloom. Carrotwood features glossy, dark green leaflets that are smooth along the edges. The tree has an irregular form, often with a rounded or somewhat flat-topped crown. The bark is gray and fissured, and the branches spread widely. Chinese pistache, on the other hand, has leaflets that are smaller, matte, and slightly toothed. Its canopy is well structured, forming a more predictable upright oval shape, and in fall, the leaves turn vibrant red, orange, or yellow, making it easy to distinguish from carrotwood. When leaves are large, thick, and leathery, a different group of trees is involved. Magnolia, avocado, camphor, laurel fig, and orchid tree can appear similar but have distinguished features. Magnolia leaves are thick, shiny on top, and have a fuzzy brown underside. The leaves are simple, elliptic, and the tree often maintains a broad, pyramidal crown when young that flattens with age. Magnolias also produce large, white, fragrant flowers, often in spring and summer, and seed pods that resemble cones. Avocado leaves are oblong to elliptic and smooth-edged, with a glossy green surface. The tree often has a dense, rounded canopy and low branching in cultivated varieties. Fruit may be present depending on season. Growth is moderate and the bark is brown to gray with shallow furrows. Camphor trees have large, glossy, oval leaves with pointed tips. Mature trees develop a rounded or spreading canopy with long, low-hanging branches. Bark becomes deeply furrowed and dark brown with age. Seed capsules appear in clusters, and the overall shape is wider than it is tall. Laurel fig is primarily identified by its massive trunk and aggressive service roots, which form white buttresses. The canopy is dense and umbrella-like, with thick, dark green leaves that are leathery to the touch. The tree often has aerial roots and produces small figs along the branches. Large, deciduous shade trees are most reliably identified by bark and structure rather than leaves. Sycamore and liquid amber are commonly mistaken for each other from a distance. Sycamore is easy to recognize by its mottled, peeling bark, which flakes away in patches to reveal cream, tan, and greenish layers underneath. The leaves are broad with 3 to 5 lobes and coarse edges. Liquid amber has star-shaped leaves with 5 pointed lobes and produces spiky seed balls that hang from the branches, while bark is gray-brown and furrowed but does not peel in large patches. Elm and oak are another frequent pairing. Elm forms a vase-shaped canopy with branches arcing upward and outward in a graceful, rounded structure. The leaves are simple, ovate, and double-toothed along the margins. Oak trees appear heavier with thick, robust limbs and more solid horizontal branching structure. Leaf shape varies by species, but is generally lobed or serrated, depending on the variety. Conifer identification is straightforward once needle type is observed. Pines have needles grouped in bundles, and the number of needles per bundle is diagnostic. Cedars have flat sprays or clustered foliage, which sets them apart from pines and makes quick identification possible. And to include some species for the folks working up in Central California as well, pine and oak identification comes up constantly in that region. Ponderosa pine has long needles in bundles of 3 and thick orange-brown bark that breaks into puzzle piece-like plates. Gray pine, or foothill pine, also has needles in bundles of 3, but the long needles droop downward and the crown is open and irregular. Sugar pine is identified by its extremely long cones, often over a foot long, and needles in bundles of 5. Monterey pine is commonly planted and has needles in bundles of 3, a dense crown, and a rounded, wind-shaped form. Valley oak is deciduous, with deeply lobed leaves and a massive spreading canopy, often found in open valleys and floodplains. Blue oak is smaller, also deciduous, with bluish-gray leaves and a more open structure. Coast live oak is evergreen, with dark green, leathery leaves and a dense rounded canopy, often low and widespreading. Interior live oak is similar to coast live oak, but grows more upright, with narrower leaves and less sprawling branches. Flowering and ornamental trees often provide obvious visual cues. Silk floss tree has a trunk with prominent spikes and produces large flowers in shades of pink to white. Gold medallion tree lacks trunk spikes and produces bright yellow flowers. Pink trumpet tree is sometimes confused with jacaranda, but the flowers are larger, trumpet-shaped, and leaves are thicker. Crepe myrtle is recognized by smooth peeling bark and multi-stem growth habit. Ginkgo is unmistakable due to fan-shaped leaves which are unique among urban trees. Effective tree identification relies on a consistent process. Leaves should be evaluated first, followed by growth habit, bark texture, branching pattern, canopy form, and flowering or fruiting characteristics.